as you were growing up, you were living here, and we are only 1 mile from the cable car.
Yes.
Before the cable car was there, when you were a child, would you go to Dursey Island every year yourself?
No, I wouldn't go to Dursey Island, and I was in that many times in Dursey Island. I was there a few, but I was around it a lot of times in a boat.
Yeah, I can imagine back in the day before the cable car, a lot of the people living on the mainland would not go to Dursey Island.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So the whole way of life has changed, and it's much easier.
Yes. Yeah.
But it would be a shame if the Dursey closed down and became something like the Blasket Islands, where there's completely empty since the late 50s.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think there was 40 there when the cable car started.
Yeah, and
the school was there and children go to school.
And I would imagine when you were born, there were more than 40 people.
There must be 200.
200, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pat Neal, who does the postman over there, was telling me that they used to walk from the end of Dursey Island, row across the Sound, and then walk again to Cahamore to Mass on a Sunday.
That's right.
And they wouldn't have anything to eat until they got home again.
No.
So, would that have been similar to you living here? Like you're only across the Sound from Dursey. Would you have walked from here to Cahamore on a Sunday to go to Mass?
I would. I'd walk, but I don't know what I'd be walking from Dursey. that all has changed.
Yeah. But like back in the day when you were a youngster, everyone went to church.
They went to church.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and they walked to church and they came back and they had a package of biscuits in Kelly's in Lehamore, where that was a shop, Donald Kelly's. Yeah. And that was their dinner. Push the boat down inside the island, row across and holler up. Same thing when they went back.
It's a long old Sunday, huh?
Sure.
I have no idea what time Mass would have been. Would it have been 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning? Or
yeah, well, we'd say 10:30.
Yeah, so they'd be up and they'd probably have to leave by 8 o'clock to make it there in time. They wouldn't get home till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And would they be having, I had no idea now, back in those days, what would they be having for Sunday dinner?
I suppose spuds and fish.
Spuds and fish,
yeah. That was the meal. Which was a good healthy meal, eh? Yeah.
Spuds and fish, yeah.
Yes, that was.
And when you were growing up around here, like here, as it's very close to Dursey, you would have had cows and pigs and hens.
Yes.
And then you would have had a vegetable garden, or would it just be potatoes?
Oh, we'd have vegetables, cabbage, turnips, carrots, parsnips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and potatoes. Oh, plenty spuds.
Yeah.
And we usually kill a pig in the winter, salt a pig into a barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when my uncle still had the pig above. They had the pig just next to where we live, just above the house.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And there's still a hook in the kitchen in their house where they used to hang, I suppose.
Yeah.
The hook's just outside the wall.
Mm.
And like I remember as well, my uncles, for example, saying, like when some of my age would think back, they must have been hard times food wise. And I remember my uncle saying they always had fairly good dinners. Anyway, they didn't go hungry themselves.
No.
I suppose people living in rural Ireland maybe were luckier than some others living in the middle of towns, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the older times, worse again. Yellow mail gruel. Yeah. Making a porridge and that was it.
So, well, like when you were a child, you'd have some milking cows, but you wouldn't be selling the milk to the co-op.
Oh, no. No.
There was no co-op.
No. There was no selling of the milk when I was growing up. No.
So how did your family make a living back in those days then? Was it purely living?
My father made a living through fishing.
Fishing.
Yes. Yeah.
Are we talking mackerel and...
Well, you're talking about lobsters, potfish.
Oh, okay, right.
Yes. And mackerel fish.
But there were those also, like, I don't know if it was this far out, the palaces, the pilchard palaces and stuff. Was there one of those down at Garnish, no?
The what?
The pilchard palace?
The palace.
There was a shed called the Palace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There was, right enough.
Yeah, and I hear about them, but I've never seen one. The seine boats. Were there seine boats down at Garnish?
Yeah.
And there'd be like 6 or 7 people on the seine boat. There'd be 2 boats working as a team.
No,
right?
2. Would there be 3? Yeah, 3.
But you didn't ever get involved in that. You were
I
doing
did. I did. I did that too. I did that too. 45 and 46 and 47. And I'm in England in 48.
Okay.
Right.
That reminds me now, during the Second World War, there was a German air, plane just came down on the head here.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And I remember there was a guy in Allihies, and I remember him as when I was 10 years old, I knew him, and I remember him being called Pete the Canadian. But
He was Pete Cast.
that's right.
Yeah. He was a Coast Guard up on top of the hill. Yeah.
It's not playing very well.
Did you go up there then as a child, the pair of you, and look for... I see, like even now, you can still see parts of what probably came from that airplane used in fences and ditches to...
Well, they made rings out of the bolt, the nuts of it.
Right.
Yes. It was soft, it was easy to foil. Yeah.
Oh, it was probably aluminium,
And
was it?
they made, I think, gates made out of it, small gates, like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. They were buried up here.
Oh, they're buried just above your house?
Yeah,
in the
but they were
cemetery?
taken up and brought to Glasnevin some few years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came back from England, how many years did you go to England for?
I know 9, I think.
9 years. And 9 years was enough?
Well, I don't know. I like England. Be truthful. I've no regrets about it.
No.
Oh, Jesus, it was a good country.
No, I didn't.
That was up to yourself. Look after yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've no regrets about it.
So you came back here in the mid-50s, late 50s?
I came back here in the yes, and 50s. I came back here in 50s, 56, I think, 56 or 57. We had no electric light. There was nothing.
And did you move back into this house, James?
I moved back into this house.
And what year did you meet up with Patricia?
Why we went, yeah. Oh, we met home on holidays, and we met up, and she went to England, and we came back and got married.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why you came back. You got married and decided to come home.
Yeah, you're right.
And then you worked in the building a little bit in Ireland, and then you started working in the cable car
Yes.
in, let's just say, 1969, 70. And by the time you finished there in 1983, you were... I don't know how old you would have been. I'm working it out. You still would have been young enough. You would have been my age.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be still older than you. Yeah.
Right.
I met a lot of nice people there in the cable car.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
Oh, yes, there were bird watchers and people after foxes and what have you, like. That was good.
It's funny, you say people used to go to Dursey to hunt foxes.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a stray fox there, and there were people in trying to get a photograph of them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because I was over on Whiddy Island a Well, I've been a few times, but there's no foxes on Ridley Island.
There's no fox on Whitty Island, there's no rabbits in Dursey, or there was never a fox there, but however, this lad strayed in there anyway.
I think I might
Yeah.
have heard that before.
Yeah.
Well, was there a deer over there once? No.
That's what there was.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So they're
But whatever about the deer, the fox were there for definite. For I see the fox there. I see him running on up above where the cable car lands.
Okay.
Yeah. It has to be replaced. Yeah. For the towers are rotten. And I think there should be a replacement for the island people to go across. Because you have a Jimmy Harrington as an old man and feeble, like myself. A lot of them pension age, and they don't expect him to swim across. And secondly, the pier is not insured for tourists. And how is it that they expect the islanders to go on that pier then? Yeah? So they should have a replacement for the islanders to go across, because in the 70s, I was there when the second tower was built, and they had a replacement. They had a boat there for the term that the cable car was out of order, and they had a ferry in the Sound, and to keep the catching of bear trawlers not going through the Sound.
Okay, James.
Hello.
When you back in the 60s, were you involved in the building of the?
I was. We involved in building it.
And what was your job in the building?
My job in the buildings was giving the steel to the Englishmen that built it. And all the steel was numbered from top to bottom.
Okay.
And that, excuse me, that was ordinary iron. It wasn't galvanized, and it only lasted about 7 or 8 years.
So the crowd that built the cable car are actually a contractor company coming over from England.
Yes.
And how did they bore the holes for the pylons to be put in?
They bored the holes with a jackhammer, right? In other words, a Kango hammer. Yeah. And they put steel into them, and they put bolts down that, you see,
Yeah.
4 bolts for every piling. No, 4 bolts for, that was 12 for the,
For each pylon.
yeah.
So in 1969, the pylons went up for the first time. And how long did they last?
I'd say about 8 years, roughly. Ordinary steel.
Yeah. And then 8 years later, they took the pylons down. How long did they close the cable down?
For 7 months.
So that's interesting. They rebuilt the 2 pylons in 7 months with galvanized pylons.
They built the KA, and it took the 7 months to do it. But I don't know what's happening now. But they never, when they took down the pilings, they didn't take down the cables. You see? They stayed the cables up with a tilper. They cut holes in the pilings, took the cables out, and stayed them up to a rock, to solid rock. Bored the rock and put down bolts and bore them out.
Okay. So
Yeah.
So let's say that was 1977, 78.
I had something around that. I couldn't give it an exact date.
And that, were you involved in the rebuild as well as the original build?
Well, I was working the cable car when the rebuilding was there, but I I was operating the cable car at that time.
Were you the one of the first men to operate the
I
cable?
was. Well, there was a man there for some little time before he wasn't permanent.
Okay. So how many years when did you start? 1969, 70, all the way
I
through?
started in 1970 and I was there 23 years.
23 years.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the people living on the island before? I'm sure you knew them because you only
Yeah.
lived
Yeah.
1 mile
Yeah.
from the cable car. How did they live before they had the cable car?
Well, they had boats. They all had wooden boats. Yeah.
And would they row across the sound or would they row around to Garnish?
No, it's across the sound.
And that very steep pier, they'd climb up, they'd land there and pull the boats up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people a day in the summer back in the 70s would go to Dursey, tourist-wise?
Well, not as much as when the Atlantic wave came in. That brought the people. And in my time there were cattle, sheep, pigs, every animal that lived on in the horse going in that cable car.
So when they used to bring, the farmers, once the cable car was installed, they used to bring the cows and the pigs.
Everything.
And how many cows would they bring?
Well, the one cow, 2 calves.
1 cow, 2 calves.
Yeah.
And building materials and everything.
Yeah, everything else, yeah.
So this year now in 2022, we're talking, what is it, 42 years since it closed, since it opened, the second one was built.
Yes.
They've realised that they need to replace the pylons with new ones.
Yes.
And they're actually going to close the cable car down from the 1st of April until October.
Yes.
So April, May, June, July, August, October, 6 months
Yes.
to rebuild. Same as they did it after 9 years in the beginning.
Yeah.
So what's happening for the farmers living over there, working over it, with a few people living there and the farmers working over there at the moment, once the cable car goes this next week?
Well, I don't know. They'll have to be some other alternative. I don't know, like how. I mean, common sense. Like there's people over there can't use the boat. In fairness, now, like.
Yeah, like Jim.
Yeah, and you know, there's 7 holiday homes there, and how are them people going to go over there? You know, for 6 months, they can't go over and stay there. They're working people. They may come for a month's holidays, and they're bringing so much into small shops here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the council have got no ferry service because the pier at Dursey is not safe enough, they're saying.
It's not safe enough.
That's what I heard, yeah.
I don't know. And how, excuse me, how is it made safe enough then for the people that's living there?
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, your health and safety of all this thing, and I mean, common sense, like. That's all right for a man and a woman car. Now, Richard, you know, if we look at all that, like, 6 months to build that cable car is a bit Irish.
Yes.
You know, every bit of that that comes, I was there in board piling, and every bit of that that came is all marked, they're numbered from top to bottom. And if they had a machine there and bringing the angle iron up, sure, God Almighty, the ESP they'd build it through them we'll give them 6 weeks, and they'll be on the outside of it.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah.
way back in 1978, they rebuilt it in 7 months. This time, obviously, they're going to be preparing everything before they come. It would be numbered. It would be like
Yeah.
building by numbers.
Yes. And the Mediterranean should be there now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You won't, you know, the cheap way is the dearest way in the end, for I mean, they'd want to get a responsible contractor to do that. I mean, when they built the large piling there, they got men that didn't know a lot about it. You know? And they built it, and they didn't put half the bolts in. The council had to give 2 or 3 weeks putting bolts in. They wouldn't replace them. So, I mean, all this delay. And I'm sure, I mean, common sense, they're losing money, they're selling the tourists, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't done
No,
that.
no, you're grand. That's no problem. So, so 2022 or 2022, as I should say in English, as we're not in America, is the year that the cable car will close down for the first time in 40 years.
Yes,
They've only had the odd repair job done on the cable car in all those years.
yes,
So I suppose 1 year or the other it had to close down because it can't last forever in the sea air that we have going through Dursey Sound.
yes,
And we'll just see what happens to the local farmers and
Yeah.
inhabitants getting over there and back.
Right.
Which is amazing to think that Jim, for example, who's over there, who hasn't got a boat, how is he going
Yes,
to...
right.
I don't know what he's going to do, but that's
yeah,
his own problem, apparently.
yes. Sad,
Yeah, sad.
yes.
So now let's move on to the new cable car. There's been lots of talk about the new cable car, about how many people it will take over and the effect on the traffic between Dursey Sound and Castletown Bear. What are your thoughts on the new cable car? From a tourism point of view, from the farmer's point of view, anything at all?
Excuse me, you're not talking about the one they're going to do now.
No, I'm talking
Don't-
about the planned one.
Well, I give my version of it. I think if they made the cable car that's there, bigger size, and used the same structure with the hauling rope and the 2 track ropes, they'd have a safer job. They put 2 cable cars there. One of them is finished in September. What are they going to do to, hang it up for a small amount of people?
Yeah.
It don't make sense to me. I don't know, but
No. Well, in the end, I think that the plan is the new cable car with the new building is supposed to take over 16 people an hour. So it's not a lot different from the old one.
no, not a bit. Not much.
But like we're in Cork here, not in Kerry. Wouldn't it be nice to have hundreds of people coming to?
Yeah. Yeah, but, yeah, nice. More the merrier. But I mean, that cable car took a lot of people.
Yeah. I actually, in my own opinion, which is my own opinion, 16 people an hour is plenty for Dursey Island because
Yes.
if you take over 400 or 500 people a day to Dursey Island, it will not handle that amount of people and rubbish,
No.
let alone toilets.
No. 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 That's one of the things that's essential, a tailored.
Yeah.
Yeah.